This is an update of global trade activities published by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, popularly known as UNCTAD. Moving forward, it could be seen that global trade reached a record high in 2021, about 28.5 trillion USD, an increase of almost 13% relative to pre-pandemic levels. Further, developing countries trade outperformed that of developed countries in fourth quarter of 2021. South-South trade growth was above the global average as well. This demonstrates that trade grows and so do the trade imbalances. Correspondingly, it could be noted that China posts highest pre-pandemic and as of 2021 trade surplus, whereas United States has recorded the highest trade deficit in both 2021 as well as the pre-pandemic era. Furthermore, we can see that European Union, East Asian countries, Australia, and Russian Federation have recorded trade surpluses as well, whereas India and least developed countries have recorded trade deficits during 2021 as well as during pandemic period. This discusses on global trade trends and nowcast. Global trade growth remained during 2021 as a strong status as its value continued to increase through each quarter of 2021. Trade growth was not only limited to goods, trade in services also grew substantially during the period. Overall, the value of global trade reached a record level of about 28.5 trillion USD during 2021. Trade in goods and trade in services followed similar patterns during 2021, with stronger increases during the first half of the year. Trade growth continued to be positive for both goods and services as of third quarter of 2021 and especially during fourth quarter. During fourth quarter, trade in goods increased by almost 200 billion USD to reach about 5.8 trillion USD, a new record. During the same period, trade in services rose by about 50 billion USD to reach about 1.6 trillion USD, a value just above pre-pandemic levels. On a year-over-year basis, trade in goods strongly outperformed trade in services, with increase of about 27% and 17% respectively. This shows annual growth as well as quarterly growth rates for both goods and services. Since fourth quarter of 2020, we can see a gradual increase for both goods and services. This discusses on global trade outlook. Positive trend for international trade in 2021 was largely the result of increases in commodity prices, subsidized pandemic restrictions, and a strong recovery in demand due to economic stimulus packages. As these trends are likely to abate, international trade trends are expected to normalize during 2022. Overall, evolution of world trade in 2022 is likely to be affected by the following factors. One such factor is slower than expected economic growth. Economic growth forecasts for 2022 are being revised downwards. For example, IMF cut its world economic growth forecast for 2022 by zero point 0.5 because of persistent inflation in the US and concerns related to China's real estate sector. Another factor is continuing challenges from global supply chains. COVID resulted in unprecedented pressures on supply chains, logistic disruptions, a semiconductor shortage, and rising energy prices have further contributed to supply shortages and spiraling shipping costs. Another fact is trade agreements and regionalization trends. On 1st January 2022, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, known as RCEP, entered into force. This trade agreement facilitates trade among many of the East Asian and Pacific economies. Another fact is transition towards a greener global economy. Trade patterns in 2022 are expected to reflect increasing global demand for products that are environmentally sustainable. Moreover, global trade patterns could also be influenced by increased demand of strategic commodities required to support greener energy alternatives, such as cobalt, lithium, and rare earth metals. Another fact is rising concerns about debt sustainability. Given the record levels of global debt, concerns of debt sustainability are likely to intensify in the coming quarters due to mounting inflationary pressures. With that, we'll be moving on to trade trends in the major economies. Import and export trends of some of the world's major trading economies further illustrate the patterns of trade growth during recent quarters. Data on services is reported with a lag of 1 quarter. In third quarter of 2021, trade in services for major economies was still substantially lower than pre-pandemic averages. Accordingly, it could be seen that both imports and exports have tremendously increased for Brazil, China, India, Japan, Republic of Korea, Russia, South Africa, US, and European Union. And we can see that highest import contribution was made by Republic of Korea, whereas when we consider exports, highest contributor is China. In the fourth quarter of 2021 relative to 2019 average. When we consider services, we can see higher improvement in exports in China, India, Korea, and Brazil in the third quarter of 2021 relative to 2019 average. Among other countries, only India has recorded improvement or increase of imports during third quarter of 2021. Brazil, Russia, and South Africa have recorded highest decrease in imports. Now we are discussing on regional trade trends. In fourth quarter of 2021, trade in goods increased more strongly for developing than for developed countries. Exports of developing countries in fourth quarter of 2021 were about 30% higher than in fourth quarter of 2020. This chart demonstrates trade growth is stronger in developing countries. When we compare recent data as against 2020 data, we can see that export performance is greater for developing countries, which is around 30%, whereas developed countries has recorded 15% growth. Further, import activities are also leading by developing countries. In comparison of South trade, we can see there's an improvement of nearly 32%. This indicates trade growth remains very strong in almost all regions as of fourth quarter of 2021 relative to 2020 as well as 2019. Accordingly, we can see Africa has recorded export improvement of 42% as of 2021 in comparison to 2020. Australia also follows the same trend with increase of exports of around 27% comparing 2021 to 2020. Now we can discuss on global trade trends at the sectoral level. With the exception of transport equipment, all economic sectors shown a substantial year-on-year increase in the value of their trade in fourth quarter of 2021. High fuel prices are behind the strong increase in the value of trade of the energy sector. Trade growth was also above average for metals and chemicals. As a result of the global shortage of semiconductors, trade growth in communication equipment, road vehicles, and precision instruments was subdued during fourth quarter of 2021. Here it clearly says energy sector has improved tremendously in 2021 as against 2020. This demonstrates the decline in transport equipment sector. This shows export performance and volatility in fourth quarter of 2021. Accordingly, export performance has been improved when we consider Bahrain, Algeria, Colombia, Egypt, Georgia, Mozambique, and Norway. Further, when we consider export volatility, we can identify the high volatile countries as Argentina, Azerbaijan, Benin, Malawi, Mali, Nepal, and Panama, as per the Annex 1 of export performance and volatility in fourth quarter of 2021. This presentation is based on the update published by UNTAD. Further, you can kindly Google Nayanajith for more of this kind of presentations and research work. Thanks for watching.